Hi there and welcome back to my channel. I am here today to talk about my birth plan. So I did write a birth plan, here it is, and I would recommend anyone that is expecting to write a birth plan. I didn't follow mine to the letter, but it enabled the midwives. When you're in labour you can't communicate very well and it enables the midwives to know what you would like in an ideal situation. Like, obviously things may not go to plan and that's fine, but I think it is good for the midwives to get an understanding of what you want so that they can at least try and give you the birth that you want without forcing things on you that you may not necessarily want. Like, I was quite adamant about certain things that I didn't want. Like, I didn't want to be snipped. I didn't really, well, obviously sometimes you need it in a situation, but I wanted to avoid, you know, an assisted delivery at all costs, really. I think I would have rather torn than been snipped. I had heard that tears heal better than cuts, but that wasn't needed anyway, so that was okay. But I'm just going to read through my birth plan and tell you the important information that you need to have on yours if you are going to write one. As I said, I would definitely recommend one. Like, I think these are invaluable when you're in labour. I didn't talk to anyone, like I didn't even talk to Nick. It happened that my mum and Nick were in the room with me when I gave birth, and I think that was a good thing because I just couldn't talk to anyone. I was just in my zone, doing my thing, and I was just pretty much silent for the whole 3 hours that we were in the hospital and I was giving birth. If you want to know exactly how my labour and birth went, I do have a video on that, so I will link that down below and you can go and check that out. Anyway, back to my birth plan. I'm just going to read through and tell you what things I've got on mine. So, the first section of my birth plan is early labour. And I just put a little, like, I had this out like on top of my hospital bags. So what I've written at the top is, when contractions are a minute long and there are 3 in every 10 minutes, call the hospital to see where they have space. Now this really was the thing I was most nervous about. I wanted to go to a maternity unit, but obviously there's limited spaces. We have 2 near us that I could have gone to, but they both only have 3 beds, and if they're full, so you just have to go to the hospital. So I wrote out my first choices. So one was, we have a maternity unit which is actually on top of the hospital. So it is a maternity-led unit, but it's at the hospital. So if there ever was a problem, you would just have to basically like go down a few floors to get to the hospital and the delivery unit. So that's where I opted to be. That was my first choice because I thought, it's my first labour. If something does go wrong, I know that I'll be able to get help quickly if I need it. So that was my first choice. My second choice was another maternity-led unit. This one is in a local town to us and it's probably about, I don't know how many miles it is from the hospital, but they said it's about 20 minutes in an ambulance if you know, with the lights going, if you did need it. And my third choice was like the general hospital, just the normal birth. Was it delivery unit? I guess it's called. I don't actually know because I didn't go there. I was really lucky that I got my first choice and we were at the maternity-led unit above our hospital. I've also got written down my name and my birth partner's name and our due date, which was the 24th of August 2014. So Rosalie was 2 days early. And then I've just listed in sort of bullet points what in my ideal situation I would like to happen. So I put, I would like my birth partner to be with me throughout my labour. We had planned that my mum wouldn't come as well. It was just going to be Nick that was going to be with me. But my mum, we phoned her when we were going into the hospital and just said, oh look, we're on our way. And my mum happened to have the day off because she'd been to get her hair done. So she was like, oh, okay, I'll come in. And she just met us there. And because we were at the maternity-led unit, you just have one room to yourself. So like her plan was to just sit in the corridor, but she actually couldn't, so she was in there with us. But actually I think it was a really good thing and I was really glad that they were both there. Mainly because I wasn't speaking to anyone and poor Nick would have been at such a loose end if she wasn't. So the next bit I've written in my birth plan is, I am open to try different positions throughout labour. I think I would prefer to give birth in bed, lying down. I might like to try a water birth if possible. And then I've put, I would like my husband to get in the water with me, which just absolutely cracks me up because I wouldn't have wanted him getting in the water with me. I didn't even want anyone touching me. Like, I was literally in the corner, curled over a ball, one of those big bouncy birthing balls, puffing on my gas and air, and I didn't want anyone near me. I didn't want anyone touching me. I just wanted to be alone. So that did make me laugh, really. How naive I was when I wrote this birth plan. The next section I've got is pain relief. I've put, I would preferably like to have a natural birth using only gas and air as pain relief. I would like to try alternative therapies such as massage and aromatherapy. That would have been nice. I didn't get any massage or aromatherapy. But yeah, I did get my natural birth using only gas and air. And I couldn't have been without my gas and air, I'll tell you now. I put, however, I am open to anything that is medically needed. I would like myself and my husband to be consulted first before any decisions are made. I think that's very important as well. I wouldn't have wanted them just to do something to me without telling me first. Like, I would have liked to have been asked if there was time to. Obviously, in an emergency situation, you may need to do something. But I would like to have been informed if I could have been. Assisted delivery. So in this section I've put, I would like to avoid an assisted delivery at all costs. If one was necessary, I would prefer forceps. And then I have put, I would not like to have an episiotomy. That's when they snip you. After the birth. This was where my birth plan came into its own because a lot of these things they did do. So I've put, I would like my husband to cut the umbilical cord. This did happen, he did do that. And I've put, I would like the baby to put straight onto my tummy before being cleaned up. So once the baby had come out, they picked her up and they put her straight on my chest. And they also left her still attached. So she got all the last bits of the oxygen coming from the placenta. That was all going straight into her. So she was actually connected to me still for quite a while afterwards. And she was just, whilst she was just lying on my chest. I've put, I already know the sex of my baby. I put, I would like to deliver the placenta with an injection to help the uterus contract, but I do not want to have an epidural for it. I heard that obviously if you do have an epidural for that, I did have that injection. And it was actually really painful. I think it was like, it's really crampy because obviously it's making your womb contract. I didn't want to have an epidural for it because obviously if you have an epidural you have to stay in hospital longer. So I wanted to be out of there as quick as I could. I've put, my baby can be given the vitamin K injection. And I've put, I plan to breastfeed my baby and I would like help breastfeeding my baby. And that is the end. So yeah, pretty much my birth did go to plan. I was allowed to do everything I wanted to do. I had Rosalie put up on my chest for quite a while whilst she could get the last bits of the oxygen and before the cord was cut. And that's, I thought I'd put that on my birth plan, but I kind of did, but didn't say exactly. But that was something I really wanted, was for her to stay attached to me so she could get the benefits of all the last bits of oxygen coming from the placenta. I also, Rosalie was pretty much like, I held her to my breast straight away. And I don't think she was actually feeding, but she was like sucking on my nipples for probably about 45 minutes as soon as she came out. And I do think that that was what helped my milk come in and also what helped her be such a good feeder. She didn't lose any of her birth weight. Like, she just, although she was completely exclusively breastfed, she just piled on the pounds straight away. So yeah, I do think that was down to her being put on my chest straight away and us being allowed that time for her to, you know, get used to me and get used to feeding. So that is the end of my birth plan video. I hope you've enjoyed this and I hope it gives you an insight into what you can put on your own birth plan. I do think birth plans are so important, and I definitely, for one, wouldn't have been able to communicate what I wanted to the midwives whilst I was in labour. So this is an excellent way for them to read through and know what you want without you having to tell them. They did keep coming up to me and asking me things on there as well. They're like, are you sure about this? Are you sure about that? So that was a really good thing about having a birth plan. Thank you for watching this video and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!